let's start with Robert Saleh, the Jets candidate, second interview. We talked about this yesterday. Chris, you had heard that Saleh is a serious candidate to become the coach of the Jets. The problem is he completed his second interview and he left. He's talking to the Eagles. And, we know what happens, whether it's free agency or coaching. You get the deal done while the guy's in the building, or the deal may not get done. Matt Rule didn't get out of Carolina to go to the Giants, got the deal done. So I just wonder what's going on here, because if the Jets wanted him, they could have hired him during the second interview, or the interview could have culminated in the negotiations that resulted in the contract. But for whatever reason, it didn't happen, and now Saleh continues his tour, and the Jets continue to look elsewhere, and maybe they still get together, but it sure felt yesterday like it was moving in that direction.
Yeah,
and now it doesn't.
I'm surprised. I thought that, making the second trip out there, things that I had heard, that, it would probably be, all locked up and done and signed, sealed, and delivered, by some point yesterday. But I don't know what is going on there. I have no inside info. I know the Jets got their eyes on some other guys, other candidates. One name I've heard with the Jets is Arthur Smith, the Tennessee offensive coordinator. I heard he's very high up in the conversations there. And then I've had people lead me to believe that there's one or two other people who are kind of under the radar that they believe got the eye of the Jets to a degree. I don't know who they are, but obviously there's great interest in Robert Saleh. I just don't know, is it the Jets going, wait, we didn't love that second interview and we want to interview more? Or are they going, wait, we would just like to complete the process. We have a few other people on our list that we haven't got to yet. We just like to do our due diligence before we start, drawing up a contract with you. I don't know either way, but of course they're taking danger if they do like Saleh, letting him out the building, and you never know what happens now.
Or maybe they came to the conclusion that we advocated yesterday, and I mentioned it on Twitter, and it got a bunch of Jets fans triggered, the idea that if you hire Saleh and he brings in an offensive coordinator who fixes Sam Darnold, he's going to lose that guy to be a head coach somewhere else. The Jets are so downtrodden as a fan base, they actually view that as a good development, because it means that Saleh, at least for a brief period of time, with his offensive coordinator, would have fixed Sam Darnold, even if the next guy doesn't. And, we've seen what happens when one offensive coordinator leaves. There's no guarantee that the next guy is going to be as good, and you could have a regression. And there is something to be said, Chris, for consistency at the offensive coordinator position year after year after year after year. I am never going to make excuses for Kirk Cousins. A guy making $33 million a year needs no excuses to be made for him.
Sure.
He needs to be troubled by nothing anyone says. He's making $33 million a year. But at the same time, contrast, Sean Payton, head coach and essentially, play caller, offensive designer, everything. Sorry, Pete Carmichael, but it's Sean Payton with Drew Brees for all these years, uninterrupted, year after year after year, consistency. Kirk Cousins has been in Minnesota 3 years, and he's had three offensive coordinators.
Yeah.
Because his head coach is a defensive guru. That's my point.
Yeah.
And maybe the Jets didn't like, maybe Saleh had a plan for a fallback, and here's what we do. And, our offensive coordinator is going to leave if things go well with Darnold. And I don't know.
It's a
plenty
real
of people
thing,
own
Mike.
teams. Plenty of people have owned teams that aren't hardcore football people. And I don't think it takes much to look at the trends and say, I really don't want us to get on this cycle of having to hire a new offensive coordinator every other year. I'd much rather have to hire a defensive coordinator, especially because look at Sean Payton. I talk about this all the time. Dennis Allen should be in this mix. Why does he never get a sniff?
I don't know.
Because we think of the Saints and we think offense even when their defense is great.
No, you're right. That's kind of the perception. There's no doubt about that. And I don't understand why Dennis Allen doesn't get a sniff either. But, Mike, as we talked about yesterday, this is a real fear. This is a real thing that I think is on all organizations' radar right now about this little issue. You brought it up. I really think you're a big reason of making it known, even in the NFL, to go like, whoa, wait. Hold on, this is a real thing. There's no doubt about it. Maybe that is what happened. Maybe it is, now. But these defensive coaches, this is something they're going to have to deal with here and answer and really think about how they're going to attack this aspect of being a head coach. You look at even, Mike Vrabel. He might lose Arthur Smith this year. Where's that go? It is. It's a real issue, especially with the league and the rules being so favored to the offense and the quarterbacks and things like that. Yeah, having a good offensive mind is a huge advantage for your football team right now. So I don't know. I don't know what the right plan of attack is there for these defensive head coaches. I said yesterday, remember, I brought in you need to bring one guy as the offensive coordinator, and you need to tell that offensive coordinator, hey, you got to bring your right-hand man, and I'll give you the OC job, but I get first dibs on that guy when you leave to take your next job. You don't get to take him and bring him your OC. I get to bring him. Something like that is what's going to have to be done in these contracts for these defensive head coaches, to kind of just calm GMs or the owners to go, okay, yeah, I might lose the OC after a year or two, but at least there's a guy after that to where I don't have to worry about losing him for a year or two after that. So you buy yourself 4 or 5 years in the process, and maybe that's the best way to go about it.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.